Hello gamers, today I have been blessed with the honour of playing a game from my childhood, The Simpsons Hit and Run, a game that came out in 2003 and ever since then has just been getting harder and harder to be able to play, which is the main thing I want to talk about. But first, let's do a semi-quick recap of the game. Hit and Run is possibly one of the best video game tie-ins out there. Definitely the best Simpsons video game tie-in by far. The story may not be the best, but I would say the references to the show throughout the game don't feel cheap or like they're just put in there to be, hey, reference to the TV show. I'll also say when I first played the game, I didn't expect the twist at the end of the Apu section. I also didn't expect an Apu section. And also, I don't think I ever completed the game until playing through it for this video. I just remember thinking that the last section was one of the hardest in gaming. It probably wasn't, I was 5. But though with saying that, playing through it this time around, I did get stuck on the last mission for like 40 minutes. And I was close to rage quitting again, until I remembered that I'm 22 years old and hopefully a better gamer than when I was 5. I was also shocked to find out that for whatever reason, my brain had remembered almost all the shortcuts throughout the game. Like what information should have been in my head instead of shortcuts in a 2-decade-old game. So quickly, a little more in depth about the game. Throughout the game, you play as 5 Simpsons characters. Homer, Bart, Lisa, Marge,
having 3 kids really slows you down.
And Apu. And there are 7 chapters in the game. Every person gain their own chapter apart from Bart and Homer who double up. The game's story is that there is a new cola, Buzz Cola, that everyone is craving over. So Homer wants to go and get some. On the news there are vans spying on people, so Homer then chases the vans back to Mr. Burns' manor. And then it goes to Bart's chapter, where most of it is spent helping Professor Frank building a car dinosaur robot thing, which almost kills Bart, but he escapes, only to be abducted by aliens. And then the next chapter follows Lisa trying to find out what happened to Bart. Then after finding Bart on a pirate ship speaking a weird foreign language that's just gibberish, the next chapter then focuses on Marge trying to cure Bart as his brain is speaking gibberish as previously mentioned. She then finds out from Abe or Grandpa that Buzz Cola will cure him. After that, she tells Apu about Buzz Cola. Apu tracks down who's behind the cola, and after some help from Snake, Bart is now with Apu when he goes to find out that the aliens are behind the cola. Bart then tries to convince Krusty that aliens are behind the cola that he is selling at the Krusty Burger. Then it turns out aliens have already put the cola into the water supply, which then brings the zombies to life. And Homer ends up defeating the aliens by dropping 4 lots of nuclear waste into their spaceship. And that is the game in a nutshell, where the word cola was said 9 times. So like I said way back at the start of the video, this game is getting harder and harder to play each year. But why is it getting harder and harder to play each year? Unlike some other games from this era, it has less to do with modern equipment just being too powerful to run it properly, although you do need to run it in compatibility mode on Windows. But it's more to the fact that I could not find where to buy this game anywhere. Amazon did say they had copies of it for the PC, but no matter what address I put in, it said it could not be shipped to my location. Maybe that's because I live on the opposite side of the world to most people, but hey, and no other game selling platforms have it. There is a feed on GOG that's been open for about 2 years now with active posts of people asking them to get the rights for the game. But that therefore leads to a good question. Who owns the rights? EA owns the rights to Simpsons games. Disney owns the rights to Fox, which in return owns The Simpsons in general. And the development team and publishers that made the game are all owned by Activision, which is currently in the process of being brought out by Microsoft. That, however, looks like it could be in doubt due to the FTC. With all these issues with who own the game and the fact that buying a PlayStation 2 to play it would just cost way too much in this modern time, I thought I'd never be able to play the game again. But you may be wondering, you have footage for this game that you said you played it earlier, which is where the lovely small communities of games like this, trying to keep them alive, come into play. Randomly one day I was in a death scroll watching YouTube videos because I had nothing better to do when YouTube randomly suggested me a speedrun of Simpson's Hit and Run, which is a game I vividly obviously remember from my childhood, remembering all the shortcuts for whatever reason. I decided to watch the speedrun. And then I joined the Discord because why not? And then I saw that they had a working download for the game with mods to fix all the FPS issues and others that arise during the game. And with that, I was finally able to play and complete a game from my childhood which I was never able to do so previously. But once again, I would have paid for the game. It's just not possible. But it was possible to play all thanks to that small community of speedrunners keeping the game alive. It just hurts me to wonder how many games will be lost to time due to the fact that they just literally can't be brought anymore. And also in the day of modern games where everything's like server-based and online community games and all that, it wonders how many games will just lose the access to play due to the servers going down or, you know, issuing rights. I know there is a lot of issues with game licensing, especially in like Guitar Hero games and music-based games. But hey, at the end of the day, maybe this is what game publishers want. That their games to become impossible for you to play, so in another 10 to 20 years after that, they can just re-release it and get double the profits.